Good evening and welcome to the University of Washington College of Education graduation ceremony. My name is Mia Tuan, and as Dean of the College, it is my pleasure to serve as Master of Ceremonies for our celebration. To begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish past and present, and honor with gratitude both the land as well as our ongoing commitments to them and the Coast Salish peoples. Thank you to the many family members and friends who have joined us from around the world to commemorate the 142nd graduating class of our college. We gather to honor the more than 800 new educators, researchers, and leaders who are receiving their degrees today and to celebrate their outstanding achievements. Graduation marks a rite of passage for many, but as we all know, the last year was far from normal. Today, we are honoring our graduates virtually and through a pre-recorded program rather than in person. Although we are not able to be together in person, please know that we are with you in spirit and hope you celebrate with loved ones wherever you are today. I would also like to send extra love to our many international graduates who have not been able to return to Seattle during the last year. Although you may not have been able to say goodbye to Miller Hall or other beloved spaces on campus, you are a Husky forever, and we look forward to welcoming you back to campus when it is safe for you to travel. One of the college's most meaningful commencement traditions is the procession of our graduates and faculty into the space where family and friends wait to receive them. For several years, that procession has been led by a bagpiper, and this year is no different. Graduates, as you watch and listen to the video, I encourage you to pause and to reflect. Although we are physically apart, all that you have done here at the College of Education has been part of a closely knit community of learners and innovators, and we remain that community today. Graduates, this is a day I know you have been eagerly anticipating. While the pomp and circumstance of a traditional graduation is wonderful, what really matters is the power of being witnessed by your loved ones as you achieve a major milestone in your life. At the end of the day, it is the people who love you and who have stood by you that matter. Please take a moment to thank these special people, either in person or virtually. Additionally, we hope you and your loved ones will share the joy with us on social media throughout today's event. Use the hashtags EduDogs21 and UWGrad21, and be sure to tag the college in your social media posts. Please do post photos of yourself and your special people so that we can bring our community together and share in this special moment. During today's event, we will feature 2 student speakers from the class of 2021. They are both exemplary leaders, and I can't wait to hear from them. At the College of Education, we believe it is vital to center the voices and experiences of our brilliant and dedicated students. I hope you feel connected to one another, as well as inspired from hearing 2 of your fellow graduates reflect on their journeys and share their visions for building a more equitable future. Indeed, the dedication to creating more just educational systems that you have all demonstrated is truly impressive. Please know that we believe in you and look forward to cheering you on as you make an impact in the world. It's also important to acknowledge that today's celebration is happening at the tail end of an incredibly challenging year. We have been pushed to the brink and have experienced injustice, loss, and too many hardships to mention. Indeed, the last year has demanded our growth as individuals, as a community, and as a nation. That said, I have faith that we are slowly but surely moving in the right direction. I can say this with confidence because I have witnessed all of you doing the hard work of social transformation and teaching for social justice. This leads me to the theme for this year's graduation ceremony, good disruption, which is inspired by a quote from the late civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis. Representative Lewis devoted his life to racial justice and used his words to galvanize action. He encouraged all of us to never, ever be afraid to make some noise and to get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Inspired by Representative Lewis's call to action, I have been reflecting on what it means to create good disruption in education, particularly as we emerge from a year shaped by a global pandemic that intensified existing inequities. I think about last summer's nationwide uprisings that protested systemic racism as a powerful and necessary form of good disruption that has made it impossible to ignore entrenched anti-Blackness. Indeed, the Black Lives Matter movement provided a clarion call to examine and challenge inequities shaping the experiences of diverse communities. I also think about the work we do at the college every day, year after year, to transform inequitable systems of education as a critical part of the good disruption that changes lives and impacts entire communities for the better. We know this work is not easy. Nothing of consequence ever is. It requires courage, commitment, and compassion. I know this resonates deeply among this community because our work demands the development and deployment of these qualities. In a particularly challenging year, what does it mean to say that we have the courage, commitment, and compassion to be good disruptors? This will mean different things to each of you. For some, being courageous might mean embracing hope, using your voice to speak up, or doing something that takes you outside of your comfort zone. To be committed might mean engaging in a continual process of introspection, or perhaps redrawing your boundaries to increase your own capacity for impact. To have compassion might mean extending it to yourself as well as others. Recognizing that this will look different for each of us means that the possibilities for creating good disruption are infinite, an idea that brings me great excitement and hope for what each of you will do. These 3 words also capture something vital. Courage, commitment, and compassion are our compass points in the chaos. They will help you stay centered and focused on the important work ahead of you. I have been using them to guide me through the last year, and I offer them up to you as guiding principles to ground and fortify you through every challenge on the path ahead. Use them to help create good disruption that transforms lives and leaves communities better than you found them. You, our dedicated and mission-driven students, have studied diligently, absorbed the lessons of your professors, and are poised to enter your chosen professions with knowledge, skills, and experiences that will deepen over time. Each of you will play an important role in our progress towards creating a just, sustainable, and culturally thriving democracy. The work of creating a more equitable world through education is the highest calling of our time and any time, and you are ready for this task. We believe in you. The University of Washington College of Education stands with you, and we will cheer you on through each milestone in your journey. Congratulations. It is now my honor to introduce the first of our student speakers from the class of 2021. Our undergraduate speaker for today's celebration is Waleed Khan, who is graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree from our Education, Community, and Organizations program, as well as from the Medical Anthropology and Global Health program in the College of Arts and Sciences. Throughout his time at the University of Washington, Waleed has demonstrated his passion for servant leadership, advocacy, healthcare, and community enrichment. He has served in many leadership roles, most recently as the ASUW Director of Campus Partnerships. Waleed hopes to leave spaces better than he found them, not through his title or position, but through a model of leadership rooted in vulnerability and compassion for others. I am very pleased to share that Waleed will continue his journey at the College of Education this fall, when he begins our Leadership in Higher Ed Master's Degree program. Please help me welcome Waleed to the podium.
Distinguished members of the College of Education, Dean Tuan, College of Education Leadership, parents, honored guests, alumni, speakers, and students, I welcome you to this fine occasion and bring you heartfelt greetings from the College of Education. The University of Washington acknowledges the Coast Salish lands, the lands on which we currently sit and the UW occupies. We acknowledge the original and current caretakers, Duwamish, Thukwamish, Tulalip, Muckleshoot nations, and peoples. I would like to take a moment and thank the Graduation Selection Committee for selecting me as this year's undergraduate graduation speaker. As a Muslim Pakistani, first-generation college student, son of immigrants, and a student of color, it's truly an honor. Additionally, I want to personally acknowledge the world we live in today. In the midst of a global pandemic, an economic crisis, and racial injustices, it's crucial to recognize that many have lost loved ones, have experienced uncertainty, pain, and missed opportunities. With that being said, I want to clearly state that Black Lives Matter today and always. We as an institution stand in solidarity with the BIPOC populations. Class of 2021, we have experienced a unique space, 31 life-changing educational programs, 100 plus prestigious staff and faculty, and 830 talented graduating Huskies ready to conquer the world. This is the College of Education, a space that not only provides a pathway to higher education and a degree, but also an opportunity to connect the puzzle pieces of life. We are all trying to connect the puzzle pieces of our experiences and weave all stories to make good trouble and disrupt the educational system. The College of Education has felt like a magical space. It's been our own Dubwarts, where we have grown into the leaders we are today. We've flown like the wind on our broomsticks and have experienced the magic of equity and power structures. Within this journey, we've flown into different directions. Some of us have engaged in different organizations and community building. For us, the concept of understanding equity is not just about learning in the classroom. It's about working to achieve a more equitable, balanced power structure between institutions and communities. For us, it's about connecting the puzzle pieces between positionality, privilege, and intersectionality. to understand what real equity feels like and looks like. Throughout my time at the University of Washington, I have engaged in understanding equity by serving in organizations such as first-year programs, ASCW, and organizations such as the Muslim Students Association and Pakistani Students Association. Through my engagement in community enrichment, I have gained the knowledge of importance of accessibility, stepping into spaces with an open mind and heart, and have learned what it means to be an anti-racist leader. As students, we have engaged with equity and resources of power by connecting our experiences, our puzzle pieces to make the best out of our Husky experience. In order to disrupt the educational system, it's essential to step outside of the classroom and think about what equity looks like in real life, to meet and be in community with others. The next challenge at Dubwords has been using our experiences to address the new normal. In our changing world and the restructure of everything, we must use our magical wands to normalize the importance of being your authentic self, to help others, and build a more just world. To bring good trouble, it's normal to use your voice, to take action, and advocate for justice. To bring good trouble, it's normal to take risks and to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. To bring good trouble, it's normal for success to be a wavy line with ups and downs. My friends, addressing the new normal is about following your heart, your passions, and your voice. Society will not define success for you. You yourself will let your confidence define the true meaning of your success. Former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama says, "Your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own." In order to bring good trouble and disrupt the educational system, it's critical to start living the life created by you and not the life created by others. The final challenge at Dubwords is about the intentionality about practicing allyship as leadership. As human beings, it's important to have a mutual understanding about identity, positionality, access, social determinants of health, intersectionality, and diversity. To be an ally means to be a constant learner. In our world, teaching never ends and growing never stops. To be an ally means to speak with the oppressed, not for the oppressed. To be an ally means to know the difference between impact and intent. To be an ally means to amplify and empower the voices of marginalized communities. Through my time at the University of Washington, one of the greatest lessons I have learned is creating sustainable relationships. Relationships are like birds. If you hold tightly, they die. If you hold loosely, they fly. But if you hold with care, they remain with you forever. To bring good trouble and disrupt the educational system, practice allyship. Thrive with confidence and lead with ambition. Use your smile to change the world. Don't let the world change your smile. Class of 2021, we are almost at the end of our story at Dubwords. Before we run through the brick wall and catch the train to the next journey in our life, let's take a moment to acknowledge how far we have come. Your stories, your experiences, and your identities matter. You matter. Through our time together, we have engaged the knowledge to become a better version of ourselves, but our puzzle is not yet complete. In order to bring good trouble, we must continue to build equitable leadership, normalize the new normal, and practice allyship by leading with boldness and kindness. Poet and activist Amanda Gorman says, "There is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." You all are change agents and have the ability to change the world in so many different ways. Don't let anything stop you. Embrace the journey. Family, relatives, friends, staff, and faculty, thank you for your undivided support. Special shout outs to my dearest parents. Thank you for your sacrifices, your guidance, and for being my support system at every path of life. To our international students, out-of-state students, and local Washingtonians, I send you my heartfelt warm wishes. Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it.
Thank you, Walid. And now it is my great pleasure to welcome our graduate student speaker, Elba Moise, who is graduating with a Doctor of Philosophy degree from our Learning Sciences and Human Development program. As a first-generation college graduate, educator, and practitioner, Elba is passionate about creating inclusive and anti-racist environments. Her lived experiences as a multiracial Black Latina, coupled with her community and professional collaborations, inspires her to bring awareness to intentional and unintentional biases, to shed light on unseen experiences with oppression. Her research examines how biases manifest and influence emotional labor for instructors of color. Whether it's in a classroom or on a theater stage, Elba aspires to model and educate others on what it means to make good and necessary trouble to disrupt the status quo. Please join me in welcoming her to the podium.
Hola y buenas tardes. Hello and good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world or en el mundo. My name, mi nombre, es Elba Moise, and my pronouns are she, her, they, them, or si estamos hablando en el español, ARAX. As I've been preparing to defend my dissertation and graduate, I sat and reflected on the life's work of Representative John Lewis, and his words resonated deeply with me. The words, "Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. Nunca tengas miedo de hacer ruido y meterte en un buen lío, líos necesarios." Those words really deeply resonated with me. This so closely relates to my lived experiences, my passion for teaching, and my ongoing anti-racism work, because I'm constantly thinking and working towards those things. Noise, ruido, is important. We gotta make it, but it's also scary and tricky. But it's necessary, es necesario to create positive change. My research looks at the lived experiences of Black graduate student instructors at historically white institutions and our untold and often silenced stories about navigating bias, discrimination, and racism, and the uncompensated emotional labor that happens in plain sight, but is often invisible to many. My research findings and my work with Theater for Change, which uses interactive theater as a tool to practice disrupting bias, has led me to believe that good disruption, una buena interrupción, a good disruption is so important so that we can collectively be able to challenge the dominant ways of being, thinking, the dominant policies and structures, the dominant stories that pervade the university and mainstream society, so that we can make our educational systems more just and equitable. As upcoming graduates from the University of Washington's College of Education, I hope, espero, that we don't forget the importance and that we have been achieving good and necessary disruptions in our learning environments, our workplaces, donde trabajamos, in our daily lives, y en nuestras vidas. I implore us to continue to be those leaders that drive good and necessary disruptions in our future learning and workspaces. We've been experiencing, as we all know, an unprecedented range of disruptions due to the pandemic, which have disrupted our physical activity, mental health, eating and sleeping, and socializing. And yet, within those situations of disruptions, we have adapted to reimagine and improve our remote lives. Yes, it takes time and it takes a lot of work. Similarly, as graduates from UW College of Education, we have adapted and we have been reimagining how we improve our awareness of inequities, our understanding of their impacts, and collectively working with others to brainstorm solutions and take collective action. We're doing this in our classes, our research, our internships, teachings, and in our meetings with others inside and outside the university. Because when we remain silent and do not cause good trouble, good disruptions, how will things change? ¿Cómo cambiarán las cosas? How will things transform if we don't disrupt the status quo? I know, and you all know, good disruptions, any kind of disruptions, can be uncomfortable. Change is hard. But by leaning into that discomfort, which many of us have done together this past year, we can, podemos, learn, we can grow, and we can co-create more equitable educational systems where all of us, donde todos, where all of us can thrive.
Thank you, Elba. This year, the college is honored and excited to welcome Regina Elmi as this evening's keynote speaker. Regina is the Executive Director of Supporting Partnership in Education and Beyond, formerly known as the Somali Parent Education Board, and a fierce advocate for educational reform that centers the needs and experiences of BIPOC children and their families. During the last several years, Regina has come to view the College of Education as a partner in her work and has collaborated with several of our faculty to generate research and bring awareness to important issues impacting BIPOC children and families. She champions human-centered storytelling in her work and strives to harvest the brilliance of community. She is a leader in every sense of the word, and it is my pleasure to welcome Regina to the podium.
Hello, class of 2021. Congratulations, you have made it, both undergrads and grad students. It's an amazing to be warriors and contributors to the state of our education, now more than ever. My name is Regina Elmi, and I'm really honored and privileged to be here today. When I was asked to be this year's community keynote commencement speaker, I was taken away. I show up to this work first and foremost as a mother of 3 children. I am now more than ever committed to public education because my youngest is 2, so I'm going to be in it for God knows how many more years. I showed up to this work remembering my own lived experience when my firstborn, who's now entering high school this coming fall, entered the K-12 system. And I was reminded as a young immigrant in Northern Virginia, my own experience in education. At that moment, I knew that I can't just yell and scream about what she was experiencing, but I had to be part of contributing to the changes that we all need to make. For my fellow educators, you have no idea what you're embarking in. And now more than ever, we need you to be the bridge builders, to make sure that we're collaborating with our students and our families. And now more than ever, we need to create an education system that is making sure that co-creation and co-development when it comes to the experiences of our students, families, and educators is centering the experiences that we need to have in education. Working with families and students, what I learned is that they linger to partner with educators. And then working with educators, what I learned over the years is that how important it is for them to learn from their students and their families. Unfortunately, the system that we're all navigating does not provide those opportunities a lot of times, and it's all of our shared responsibility to create that. I always tell when I meet with administrators or educators, I remind myself a story that one of my teachers who really cultivated me shared with me. No educator goes into education thinking that, I'm gonna get money from it, or I'm gonna get award from it. It's a humbling job. It's a public servant job. We all go into it because as a young person, you dreamed one day one of my students will come back to me and tell me that I impacted their life. I have changed something that I said impacted the career decision they made, the paths they have taken. And that's I know that a lot of the educators I talk to, that's what got you into education. To make that a reality, we need to find ways to collaborate. When things are not going well for our educators, as we have seen time and time, it's families that come and fight for, higher rate pay for our educators, making sure that we're sustaining them. And now more than ever, we need to create an education system that celebrates that celebrates educators, families, and centering student at the heart. And if all three parties work together, I truly believe that we're going to have many more generations that will walk out of the education system looking back, and also it will give us an opportunity to create new educators. We know that right now there's a shortage of educators, particularly when we're in a time of history where we need to build educators of color and sustain them. This is hard work. Like I said, it's public servant work. You're never going to make the money you want, but when you see those faces of the scholars and you watch them throughout the years, when a mother comes to you and tells you that, thank you so much, I have seen growth in my child, not only academically, but socially, they're happier at school. Those are the things that are priceless. No amount of money, can give you that feeling. And I witness those sometimes when I'm in spaces with both educators and families, when I see that bridges are being built, when a family feels like my child told me that things were not going right, and then they show up angry. But it's how we facilitate those conversations. And if I can leave one thing with all of you today, is that please be creative, be bold, be warriors. Don't let the machine that you're going to walk into, which is the current system, take away your humility. Continue to be the best you, show up fully as you're wholesome, and continue to cultivate our students, our families. Know that just because you're a teacher, that's the label you're given. First and foremost, you're human. You have your heart and your passion. And we all need to be part of creating an equitable education that is centering students and families that historically have been hit the hardest. And throughout the pandemic, one thing that I know is that the new theme is not dismantle. That is a tokenized word. We have thrown that out. It is build new and reimagine. And to reimagine a new system, it will take all of us. So please continue to strive to cultivate scholars, bring your brilliance forward, and don't be afraid to challenge the current status quo, because that's what we all need to do. Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a privilege. I hope I run to some of you guys. Please continue to stay in South King County. We need creative educators now more than ever. Thank you. It's been an honor.
In closing, I want to thank the families, friends, faculty, staff, and alumni who have joined us today from across the world to celebrate our class of 2021. Graduates, we are so proud of you. More than ever, our world needs you. Don't ever forget that you are a force for justice.
I'm Lynn Dietrich. I am an associate teaching professor and the director of undergraduate programs here in the College of Education. Welcome to all of you who are here to celebrate our Bachelor of Arts graduates in the College of Education. In the midst of a global pandemic and in another year of violence and suffering, our students have persisted, successfully completing majors in early childhood and family studies, early care and education, communities, and organizations, or a minor in education, learning, and society. Our students have studied the broad spectrum of teaching and learning in a cultural context through the lifespan and across settings, and have examined the intersectionality between their own identities and those with whom they work and live. Through community-based learning, they have engaged with and learned from a wide variety of community partners. They leave us prepared to work as change agents, committed to educational justice. As we read the names of these graduates, I encourage you to congratulate them on their achievement using the hashtag EduDog21, along with any other ways you might have to connect.
Sierra Barrett. Daniel Beauchamp. Laura Benson. Shanna Butler. Victoria Carhart. Elizabeth Ciccone. Talia Montana Rose Charlie. Jamie Chile. Bobby Cranfield. Soraya Christie. Amanda Cuthbert. Aubrey Danger. Shanti De La Peña. Bimali Bamapala. Sydney S. Duro. Maria Elamine. Tess Nicole Foy. Brittany Freeman. Victoria Gaffney. Jennifer Gaana. Angela Gillum. Tracy Gonzalez. Caitlin A. Hudson. Catherine Ann Howard. Marinette Ken Jones.
Happy graduation to my class. Thanks to all our teachers, advisors, peers, family, and friends for their support.
Laura Keenan. Brittany Landreth. Dakota Malberg Lowen. Rosalind Manzano.
I'd like to thank my family for cheering me on and believing in me. I couldn't have done this without you. I love you all so much.
Genevieve Mathurin. Teresa McCorkle. Lana McQuown.
Catherine Mohan.
Edith Morales. Ali Moreno.
Wow, we all did it. 2020 and 2021, man, they gave us a run for our money, but we did it. Congratulations, everybody.
Vivian Nguyen. Irene Nieves. Marie Plantilia. April Marie Rainey. Shannon Rocco. Karina Siosin. Kasia Taylor. Tiffany Thornock. Christina Tilker. Teresa Till. Milan Tolani. Sydney Ball. Carla Vitella. Hannah Williams. Amanda Yates.
Natalie Acevedo Galvez.
Congrats, class of 2021. Here's to the next chapter.
Robert Alamillo. Jenny Almonidovar.
Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it, and now it's time to celebrate.
Ana Luisa Anguillano. Jasmine Barrett. Aspen Alice Bosco. Fang Jung Cheng. Emily Eugene Cho. Alina Choi. Catherine Colorian. Jenny Dang. Elsie de la Rosa. Lindsay Denny. Kiyi Ding. Vai Ding. Andrew Charles Eastep, Jr. Tatiana Fedorovic. Ethan Fisher. Isabel Flores Herrera.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Los quiero. Go Dogs!
Sarah Fretz. And Dulwich Fuller.
Ralph Anthony Gomez. Anya Gradushko. Kai Sengua. Victoria Elizabeth Hayes. Alicia Huang. Coco Huang. Tang Tang Huang. Angel Inglis. Louise Jubin. Christina Lai. Vivian Law. Jenny Tranley. Angela Liao.
Thank you so much, College of Education, and all of those who have supported me. I'll miss you though, and miss you all. Go Dogs!
Junting Leo. Ashley Longfellow Davis.
We did it, everyone. This has got to be the hardest year of our life, and we did it. I'm so proud of all of us.
Lilia Lundgren. Yin Yimao. Caitlin Marr. Salvador Martinez. Denise Martinez Castillo. Elena Matveyeva. Stephanie Menka. Yelizaveta Mikhailova. Ryan Miller. So Nantuvongsa. Maria Nguyen. Selena Nguyen. To Nguyen. Trang Nguyen. Keen Noe. Denise Ortiz. Hattie May Pass. Maya Antolina Patraca. Jessica Paz Mejia. Grace Dong An Fan. Cristina Ramirez. Aaron Roque. Taylor Roscoe. Emily Russell. Yushin Siniva. Lexi Zita Smith. Tong Su. Cyril Tan. Ji Shan Tan. Thibia Tang. Megan Tao. Abigail Thayer. Princess Angeline Bosco Tuta On. Brianna Tran. Jackie Tran. Maylene Transon. Kiana Vonksady. Shi Yu Wang. Nian Hua Wu. Shin Yuxia. Ziqin Xie. Karen Yang. Yu Yan Zhang. Jenny Zhang.
did it! Thank you so much to all of my family and friends who helped me get to where I am today. I couldn't have done it without you. I love you all. Go Dogs!
Ella. Mu. Queen. Shy. Kate. Anna.
Laven Dang.
Lee. Ella. Hoy. Natalie. Sunny. Yad. To. Jameer. Susan. Rick. Amir. Lynn, Vivian, Noel, Ben, Laura, Daniel, Shir, Jess, Sarah,
Okay.
Munir, Mohammed, Judy, Ju- Olin, Patricia, Grace, Dawson, Eric,
It's Aaron from class of 2021. I wish you guys the best graduation, and please come listen to my music. I need some racks. Please.
Hans, Cheryl, Nikki, Wanky, Damien, Cindy, How, Jackie,
Hello everyone! The past 4 years has been great because of all of you. Thank you so much. 谢谢大家，我们以后再见吧。
Lihan, Dante, Lin, Amy, Sex, Sar, Brandon, Cassie, Jenny, Roy, Sydney, Karina, Sarah, Jess, Colin, Dan, Isabel, Olivia, Lau, Fern, Jessica, Jack, Brianna, Christy, Aska, Edison, Sin,
Congratulations to everybody, and we finally made it.
Trey, Pete, Rebecca, Carly, AJ, Steve, Noah, Lynn, Megan, Natasha, Yun, Brooklyn, Chinwan, Noreen, Rachel, Heather, Jakes, Megan, Sarah,
Go Dogs!
Judy, Melissa, Noel, Michelle, and Ted, Hanson,
Congrats, class of 2021. As you can see, I'm hard at work on my e-portfolio, and I should totally be able to celebrate with you all in this graduation, right?
Emily, Guan, Laura, June, you, when, Zay, Sina, Shita, Claire, Ibrahim,
Wen Zhang.
Happy graduation, everyone! Radio in the campus and wish everyone all the best. Happy graduation.
Rusha, Yush, Yicheng, Shinky,
Thanks my family for all the loving support throughout my education and graduation.
Yitong, Bip, Shipei,
Jessica Lauren Addington. Tyler Dean Agafonov. Shin Young An. Ahmed Alatas. Christopher Andrade. Nadalyn Artevado Garcia. Tiana M. Arzuaga. Zachariah Mohammed Awad. Savannah Barber. Yuval Berenstein. Morgan Bryson. Bryn Burrows. Alyssa Mahealani Kadanova. Karina E. Chairez. Eleanor R. Chambers. Shenjiaki Chen. Ting Yung Cheng.
Congratulations, class of 2021.
Amos Hangyul Chi. Alexandra Marie Crittenden. Wei-Xian Dai. Mickey Dang. Heidi Deanda. Emily K. Devane. Kayla Lauren Devine. Colton Michael Dotson. Grace Elizabeth Cote Dye. Brittany Catherine Fillmore. Xining Gu. Lisa Giro. Aiden Harrington. Asher Vernon Hedberg. Grace Hannaford. Oscar Perez Herrera. Katina Hong. Stephanie Ann Houston. Yuyen Hu. Lena Quinn. Olaf in Sixing May.
Janani Iyer.
Abdullahi Jerino. Haley Jensen. Yuhan Jiao. Callie M. Johnson. Molly K. Joseph. Alan T. Young. Asa L. Kaba. Amy Rose Keller. Nicholas Kibbe. Lori Kim.
Sharon Kim.
Sharon Abigail Kim. Mamoka M. Kitatani. Mary Elizabeth Ann Nell. Julia Marie Knox. Karsten Lau. Adeline Mina Lee. Rebecca Joy Lee.
Carter Lewis.
Julie Lim. Zeke Leo. Kayla Lopez. Wezi Ma. Sonia Ann Marikis. Natalia J. Martinez. Iva Carey Martinson. Sabrina Lynn McDonald. Sean Scott McGrew. Caitlin Morgan. Manasa D. Nandala. Heinshi Win. Kathleen Wynn. Lena Wynn. Chelsea Olsen. Enrique Palacios Barron. Madison Penoyer. Ellen Rachel Perlberg. Tu Fan. Lilia May Nelson Polyansky. Ni Kwan. Megan Robillard. Dylan David Rogers. Cynthia Rojas. Alan Sewong. Anne E. Seeley. Peyton L. Smothers.
Kim Zyra Contos Soteradona.
Amira Stevens. Bailey Tavish Taylor. David Tellick Silverio. Jasmine Tercero. Ryan Joseph Tariff. Jack K. Tai. Geneva Lynn Thompson. Andrea Carlene Jin. Giselle Torres. Michelle Sang. Emma Turner. Emily Noel Uematsu. Dietrich Cristostomo Valdez.
Let's go Dogs.
Meena K. Vasudevan. Rosa Isabel Velasco Quevedo. Carla Vigilia. Linda Vaughn. Dia Wong. Aradia Eleanor Webb. Sophie M. Weisbeck. Angelina Danette Westfall. Taylor Jeannie Williams. Hoi Ching Wong. Wenjia Xiao. Citlali Yanez Sanchez. Mengqi Yang. Yenchu Yu. Boya Elvira Young. Julia Elizabeth Zapatka. Shuyang Zhang. Xiaoming Zhang. Yuni Zhu. Emily Elizabeth Zwolfer.
Congratulations to our Bachelor of Arts graduates. In a moment, we will conclude with the ritual turning of the tassel to symbolize the transition from candidate to graduate. Once we conclude our program, we hope that everyone will linger online and continue to congratulate and celebrate with one another. While graduation represents the conclusion of an achievement, it also represents a new beginning, and we hope you will bask in the moment. Finally, a special thank you to the faculty and staff of the College of Education who have made this moment possible under very challenging circumstances. Whether by teaching, mentoring, advising, encouraging, or even helping with the final steps toward your degree. At this time, I encourage you to stand proudly as you are able, wherever you are and whomever you're with, and move your tassels from right to left to signify the completion of your degree. Graduates, on behalf of the faculty and staff of the University of Washington College of Education, we wish you the very best as you enter the next phase in your lives. Your future is bright and bursting with potential. Good luck, congratulations, and go Dogs!